Welcome to my channel. This is the scariest story I've ever experienced. As a kid, I kept waking up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps above me. Now, I live alone in a single-story house with no upstairs. It started about 2 months after I moved in. At first, I thought I was imagining things, like when you're half asleep and your brain plays tricks on you. But the more it happened, the harder it became to brush off. Sometimes it sounded like faint shuffling, other times like something being dragged across the ceiling. I told myself it had to be an animal that had gotten into the attic. Raccoons, maybe. Rats, at worst. I mentioned it to my landlord, and he swore the house was sealed up tight. He said no pests had ever been a problem. Still, to ease my mind, I bought some traps and put them in the attic hatch, which was in my hallway ceiling. The hatch was one of those flimsy square panels you push up to get inside. I hated even looking at it because every time I walked beneath it, I couldn't shake the feeling something was behind it, waiting. A week passed, and the noises didn't stop. If anything, they got worse. One night, I woke to a slow, deliberate creaking, like someone shifting their weight just above my bed. My skin prickled with cold sweat. I held my breath and listened, and after maybe 30 seconds, it stopped. The next morning, I checked the traps. Empty. But something had changed. There was a strange smell up there, like damp clothes mixed with a faint sour stench of sweat. I tried to convince myself it was mildew, but it was too human. I started noticing other little things. Food missing from the pantry. Nothing major. Just a granola bar here, a slice of bread there. My charger cable went missing one day, then turned up 2 days later, coiled neatly on the kitchen counter. At first, I thought I was just being forgetful, but the unease kept piling up. One evening, I came home from work and found my front door unlocked. I know I had locked it that morning because I always double-check. My stomach dropped, but when I checked inside, nothing seemed out of place. Still, I barely slept that night. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. I woke up to the sound of whispering. Not outside, not through the walls, but above me, in the attic. It was too muffled to make out words, but the cadence was unmistakable. Someone was talking, slowly as if to themselves. I froze. My eyes darted to the ceiling to that flimsy square panel, half expecting it to be sliding open. I lay there for hours, clutching my phone, too scared to move. Eventually, the whispering faded, and I must have dozed off because the next thing I knew it was morning. I finally called the landlord again and demanded he check the attic. He sounded annoyed, but agreed. He came over that afternoon with a ladder, and together we pushed up the panel. The smell hit us immediately. Not mildew, something much worse. The air was heavy and stale, like a room that had been shut for too long. I climbed up after him, and what I saw still makes me sick to my stomach. There were blankets spread across the insulation, flattened into a makeshift bed. Empty food wrappers were shoved into corners along with water bottles. My missing charger was up there too, plugged into an extension cord that ran to a socket in the attic light. But the worst part was the walls. They were covered in notebook pages taped up in messy rose drawings. Dozens of them crude sketches of me sleeping in bed. Me cooking in the kitchen. Me watching TV. The details were sloppy, but there was no mistaking my clothes, my hair, my face. I felt like my entire body had turned to ice. Whoever had been up there had been watching me for weeks, maybe months. We called the police immediately. They searched the house, the attic, the crawl spaces, but the person was gone. The officers guessed the intruder had slipped out earlier that day, maybe even while I was at work. They took the pages as evidence, but admitted they probably wouldn't quote to catch anyone without fingerprints or DNA. That night, I didn't sleep at all. Every creak of the house made me flinch. I couldn't stop imagining the panel in the hallway sliding open, a face peering down at me in the dark. I moved out the next morning, packed everything I could fit into my car, and left the rest behind. I didn't care. I just wanted to get away. But here's the part that keeps me awake even now. Last week, I got a call from the landlord. He said the new tenants heard noises in the attic, too. They found more wrappers, more bottles, fresh ones. Whoever had been living up there never left. They just waited for me to go. Thanks for watching. If you like scary stories, stay tuned for more. See you next time.